Hello guys, it's Barry Kimani here, your online freelancing trainer here at Brains with Concepts, and I'm very happy to be here with you trying to talk about freelance writing, what is and what is not, because today we are going to touch on three major things that we can expect to actually pick up. So if you're a freelance writer looking to make it big in freelance writing, especially in 2025, even with everything that is going on, there are three major parts that you should really consider. And these three that I'm going to be talking about today is going to be creative writing, it's going to be content writing, and I'm going to talk also about copywriting. Why? Because they are big and they're only getting bigger. So to start it off, what are these? Like, what parts are these that I'm actually talking about? When it comes to content writing, just as the word says, it's all about creating content. It's not about anything else rather than being sure that you can inform the person that is reading your work, rather than trying to get some kind of information outside there to the reader. So this can be things like how to do something or how for something, things like that. And that is basically what content writing is all about. On the other hand, when it comes to copywriting goes more than just creating content. It kind of touches on the marketing and advertising idea of a company, a business, an organization, or a brand, which can actually be you. So when it comes to copywriting, what you're basically trying to do is that you're trying to persuade somebody to take a certain specific step. So what does that mean? That can be like you're either trying to make a person click on a certain link. It can be you're trying to make a person buy a certain good or service, or what you're trying to make a person either to comment, engage, do things like that. So if you find yourself like you have created some type of content that actually tries to do exactly that, you have been a copywriter. And then the last part, of course, is the creative writing. And what is creative writing? When it comes to creative writing, it's all about you expressing yourself. What do you have to say to the world? What is it that you can actually tell the world? Everybody, like, there's always this saying that even when you think that nobody is listening, there's somebody who is always listening. That means that regardless of what you write, as long as you put it outside there, there'll always be somebody who will come, read it, understand it, see what your idea is. So with creative writing, it basically touches on you producing written material that you publish online, and you don't actually, it's not for sale, it's not like you trying to push a certain ideal, but it is you basically expressing yourself. So with that in mind, how do I know that these are going to be big avenues for you to undertake when it comes to 2025? Let's think about it for a minute, okay? Creative writing. Creative writing, like, everybody is always sourcing for some kind of story. Everybody always has something to say, and you know what's even better? A lot of people would rather listen to somebody talk about something just because that they are going through the same things. So regardless of whether you're actually writing a poem, regardless of whether you're writing a book, regardless of whether you're just writing a small short fiction story, there's always somebody outside there who's going to read your story, love your story, and that's a market that will always exist. And you know what's even better is that there are actually three major sites that I can actually give you to try when it comes to creative writing, okay? And the first site that I'm going to talk about is called the Stop Story. One Stop Story, a very great site, but I wouldn't really advise it for beginning freelance writers or beginning creative writers, because the kind of stories that they require you to actually write is going to be a bit big. And much like any other article writing business, article writing gig that is outside there, when it comes to what you're writing is going to be counted and paid per the number of words that you write. Okay? So, for example, with One Stop Story, they'll actually require you to write between 3,000 words and 6,000 words. I don't think that they're currently taking in freelance writers, but it's a great place to actually keep your eye on the lookout, because at the end of the day, after you complete that story, either it's 3,000 words or 4,000 words or maybe 8,000 words, once you complete it, I think that the least that they actually pay you is actually $500. Great gig, a great place, very well within your creative writing gigs. On the other hand, there's another site that is called Fiction, yeah, Flash Fiction Online. Sorry, It's called FFO, Flash Fiction Online. Another great place to actually try and probably get some gigs. Yeah, tutaanzia hapo. So, so Flash Fiction Online, a great place to actually get some gigs as a creative writer. And basically, what they usually do is that they give you that chance to actually not just express yourself, but actually tell a story that is a bit humorous. That's their kind of thing. So if you feel like you're funny enough, or if you feel like you can create a creative story that actually has some comicness to it, that's a great place to actually start. And the good thing about them is that hawatakwambia tu andike a big story. You don't have to write 3,000 words or 8,000 words, much like one stop story. With flash fiction, the least that you can actually write is like 500 words. So basically, the least amount of words that you have in an article is the least amount of words that they'll actually pay you to write. And this pay can actually range between $50 to $100. Depends on the kind of story, depends on how well it does. Great place for either beginner or a professional creative writer that you can actually check out. Now, the last place that I'm going to talk about is called the Vistol Review. Vistol Review is another great place for creative writers. And why am I saying that? Because when it comes to Vistol Review, it's kind of in between flash fiction and the one-stop story. It's in the middle right there. It's not that they pay bad, but the number of words that they actually require you to write will be ranging between 1,000 to 2,000 words. And the kind of stories that they actually require you to write is that as long as it's not an R-rated story, no, not R, but rather X-rated story, you can write an R-rated story, put it outside there, and they'll pay you. They actually do pay you really well. Another great place that you can check out. So it's 2025. Probably you don't prefer to have an account for you to actually make money as a freelance writer. So what's the next big step? That's where content writing and copywriting comes in. Because look at this. The internet is very big right now. Okay, every business, every brand, every organization has a website. And if you have a website, how do you put yourself outside there? You basically produce content. Now, the difference between content writing and copywriting is basically this. With copywriting, your whole point is that you want to persuade people to take a certain step. With content writing, you are there to produce information. So what am I trying to tell you? These two are basically different, no lie, but they work together. Because with copywriting, you may be given that chance to actually create maybe something like a landing page. You know, like the homepage, the first page that person comes into contact once they click a certain link. So if you look even at here at Brains with Concept, if you click on that first page, that's our landing page. That's our homepage, right? Copywriting needs to make sure that you are there, everything is organized very well, and that people can take specific action depending on how we have produced our content. Now, with content marketing, content writing, that is not marketing, writing, it's more about us as a brand, them as an organization, you as a person, basically producing content that kind of educates and informs the person that's reading. Okay, so for example, if you're good at travel, if it's an organization that has situated itself within the travel industry, okay, it doesn't have to always constantly market itself. It will still need to produce content that shows they know the things that they're doing. And how do they do that? They produce value through informing. So instead of just talking about that we can do this for you, they'll start talking about that kuna some places that you guys need to visit, especially when you come to Kenya. Okay, you should visit maybe Masai Mara, you should go to Narok, maybe to Kajiado, meet the Masais and things like that. Okay, informing the visitors wakikuja, like some places to visit are this and this. And once they produce that content, that is what we are calling basically the content writing. And now, just back to what I was saying when it comes to the internet, every single business, organization, or brand has to rely on the internet at some extent. It's 2025, for God's sake. You cannot do without the internet, okay? So with content writing and copywriting, you don't actually need to have an account for you to make money. If you so if So with copywriting and content marketing, content writing, you basically don't need an account. What you actually need to do is just to get up, source these people, okay? E- Every single business with a website, every single brand with a website, every single organization with a website. This is where your freelancing comes in, okay? You get to learn the skill, you get to have the skill, you get to get up, use that skill, provide value to organization, and then be paid for it. So at this point, I really think that we have a very good idea about what content writing is. We have a good idea about what copywriting is, and we have a very great idea about what creative writing is. So as I wind up, what am I trying to tell you? Is that what I'm trying to tell you is that 2025 is a great year for freelancing writers. 2025 might be just the year that you needed for you to actually become successful at what you are doing. But you have to focus basically on copywriting, content writing, and creative writing, because these are three spheres that you can expect to actually grow as more businesses are coming online, as more people are using the internet. This is the kind of content that they are going to consume. So at this point, I will see you in the next video as we get to embrace the whole world of freelance writing. Goodbye, guys.